Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about something that I haven't really seen a lot of people discuss in a long time. And it all has to do with the very first Velociraptor that we ever see in the entire Jurassic Park series. Now, as all of you already know, the beginning of the original Jurassic Park movie starts with the infamous shoot her scene. This is where Robert Muldoon is desperately trying to save Joffrey from being killed by the current animal that the park workers are transferring into the new raptor pen. Now, over the course of the last 25 years or so, the narrative around this scene has taken on a life of its own. And several fan theories have become widespread, with opinions and perspectives taking precedence over cold, hard facts for the better part of the movie's existence. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, seeing as how all of us have our own unique points of view on the series, and sometimes getting someone else's opinion can help fans to better understand what it is that they're actually seeing. However, when it comes to Jurassic Park, I've got to be real with you guys and say that the fan theories can get a little ridiculous every now and then, especially when there's no real facts to help back them up, which kind of brings us to the subject of today's video. So all of us know that the opening scene in Jurassic Park ends with Joffrey being killed and shotgun blasts screaming out over the man's dead hand as it falls away in slow motion, signifying the end of the entire InGen incident that would ultimately lead to the investors requesting outside opinions to sign off on Hammond's Park. One particular part of the scene that has, oddly enough, become widely accepted by many fans over the years happens to be that this particular Velociraptor that ended up killing Joffrey is actually the famed big one that Robert Muldoon talks about later on in the film. One of the reasons people have chosen to believe this is due to the fact that both the raptor and Muldoon's eyes lock into place during this altercation, in a similar way to what goes down during the game warden's death scene. However, over the last few years of me doing research and finding information to relay to you guys through this channel, I've got to be honest and say that while I think this would be a really cool idea, the chances of it being legit are pretty slim to none. I say this due to more than one explicit fact that contradicts the fan theory. Number one, the script that the film is based on specifically states that the raptor Ellie encounters in the shed is actually supposed to be the, quote, biggest of the raptors, not the one on the outside that kills Muldoon. Furthermore, the other raptor names that fans have cited to be canon time and time again, these are Randy and Kim, the alleged animals in the kitchen scene, are actually not true either, seeing as how that theory stems from those names being present on an early schematic for the kitchen scene. But they aren't actually in referral to the animals themselves, but rather the people who are animating the scene. But possibly the biggest red flag that I think I find every time I watch the first Jurassic Park is actually the sound design that plays out during the end of Joffrey's death. If you listen closely to the film during the final time Muldoon screams, "Shoot her," you can actually hear the Velociraptor let out a pretty weird snarl that sounds as if the animal is going through its final death throes. Not only do we hear what I would assume to be the animal attempting to lurch back at the people who are shooting it one final time, but we kind of hear its life get drowned out by an assortment of shotgun blasts immediately after. Look, I know it's a popular theory that the dinosaur that killed Joffrey happens to be the same animal that killed Muldoon later, but if this is honestly the case, the question I would honestly ask is, what sort of serious evidence do you have to back up such a claim? Because these guttural noises of the raptor being in pain and the loud sound of shotgun fire kind of negates that point of view entirely. I know that later on in the movie, Robert says that the big one killed all of the pride except for two of the others. But who's to say that he's not telling the full story as to what really happened during the night Joffrey died? He does work for Jurassic Park after all, and most of his arguments with Hammond were kind of cut out of the movie version when you compare it to the novel. I also understand that the book makes it pretty clear that the raptors are actually really hard to kill, but come on. You've got more than one person firing a shotgun at the dinosaur in an enclosed box. We actually hear it make what I can only describe to be pretty painful sounds before it eventually just stops mauling Joffrey and the entire scene dissipates. And let's not forget that Muldoon seems to be pretty confident in taking on a raptor later on in the film with only a shotgun all by himself. In other words, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that a lot of the quote big one theories don't really make a lot of sense when you actually look at them with a little more clarity and a little less fanfare. Right now, the way I see it, Kelly may not have been the first one to kill a dinosaur at all in the franchise, and that we might just be looking at a raptor death as soon as the series got started in 1993. But of course, like I was saying earlier, this is just my perspective on what's going on here, and I'd love to hear what all of you have to say on this pretty interesting subject. Now before I go, I'd like to thank all of my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives. I'd also like to thank all of my park workers and InGen hunters as well. Guys, it seriously means the world to me that you've all continued to support me the way you do, and I never want you to ever forget that. Now I'd like to thank all of you for watching today's video, and hope you all enjoyed the content. If you feel like I deserve it, I'd appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. I'll see you all in the next one, guys, and as always, take it easy.